Hello everybody, this is Jason Artiga and this is Cinema Macabro Live. Yes, I am live. This is Cinema Macabro. This is the very first live video I'm doing on YouTube. I wanted to reach my fan base out there. Yes, it's 34 subscribers and slowly rising. But I just wanted to reach out to you guys because I've been doing most of my videos on Facebook, because you know the whole rule with Facebook and like constantly putting showing videos on Facebook, the whole give back rule. So I wanted to reach my fan base at Cinema Macabro, and this is Jason Artiga, yours truly. This is Artiga Studios. This is where the magic happens. This is where I do all the recordings on my Rode Procaster setup. I'm actually not using this mic to do this live video. I'm actually using a separate mic that's connected to the iPad. I usually record on DSLR. However, I got my DSLR here to do my next Cinema Macabro video, a review on William Hopkins' film, Demon Resurrection. If you don't know who William Hopkins is, he directed a film back in 2004 that got released in 2008 called Demon Resurrection. Amazing horror film, must watch. I did a review on that, and I'm basically reaching out to you guys to let you know what I do. And what I do for all those who are tuning in, Cinema Macabro is pretty much a YouTube channel for rare horror films, cult films, sci-fi films, mainstream films, books, games, and art. So I like to showcase art. I like to do everything that's pretty much in genre related. I do tend to talk about other films other than horror. I'm a big David Lynch fan, for one. I love David Lynch. I love the films of Quentin Tarantino. I'm a big fan of Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez. I love all action films from Asia, you name it. It's pretty much an open YouTube channel for like cult films, horror films, everything you can imagine. Anything that you saw, or maybe for the fan base to have questions about films that they saw and don't know the title for, or maybe films that are suggested for this channel for me to review. I'm all for it. Anything from loot crates that are kind of horror or sci-fi related. Fast and foremost, so all those who don't know me, my name is Jason Artiga. I'm a photographer, filmmaker, and illustrator, and I'm located in Long Island City. This is my studio, and I live in Long Island City, and I've been here for years, and I just dreamed about making this YouTube channel for those who love horror, sci-fi, David Lynch films, you name it. Everything that's pretty much cool and not really that mainstream, but I do mainstream reviews as well, just to get some input on people and to give my 2 cents, whether it's worth it or not. You know, like I recently gave my 2 cents on Alien Covenant, and you know, somebody got to speak up on weak characterizations and shitty screenplays. Speaking about that, speaking about aliens, I encountered something really good today. I found this YouTube channel called Star Force Media. And Star Force Media is a YouTube channel that started doing pretty much an adaptation of Aliens Volume 1, which is also known as Outbreak, when it was later reissued by Dark Horse in color. And it's basically a voice-acted series based on that comic book. It's pretty much that comic book with excellent voice acting, an amazing cover on James Horner's music. I mean, you have this is what I love about it. It has its own charm. It basically does its own cover on James Horner's music, and it has very good voice acting, good sound effects, and the YouTube channel is called Star Force Media, and their first episode, Aliens Outbreak, episode 1, Adrift, just recently got published in November 25th. And mind you, I read this back in 1989. I actually read it in 1989 when it came as a paperback, when it came in paperback form. I bought it from like some comic book store in Astoria. This story had me glued. to me, the Aliens Outbreak story is the definitive Alien 3. To me, that's more Alien 3 than anything. It should have been the sequel to Aliens. However, when you read the actual story, this whole story would have been too long to tell, and the budget would have been big because it just shows the xenomorph homeworld and like millions of xenomorphs and Earth being attacked by the xenomorphs, and it would have been like the creme de la creme of alien films. However, there's no Ripley in it. It's just Newton Hicks, which later was their names were changed to Wilkes and Billy for one reason, because of Alien, the whole Alien canon thing. Like they didn't want to make the comic book canon, so what they did was, since Alien 3 came out in 91, I was actually 91 or 92, they changed the name of the character to Wilkes and Billy, and don't mention pretty much Ripley. And they did that because they didn't want to take away from the Alien 3 novelization that came out from Dark Horse. I think there's another explanation to it too, but also Alien 3 being that Hicks and Newt were killed in the first 5 minutes, which to me, I thought was actually bullshit. But you should check it out. Check out Star Force Media. Very talented people working on that. I spoke to Joe Cliff Thompson through a YouTube comment, and again, very talented, very much talent worked on that small video. It just put a smile to my face. Also, a few days ago was the 38th anniversary of Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is one of the scariest fucking films I've ever saw. And the reason I let out a curse is because Salem's Lot virtually traumatized me as a young lad. I mean, up to the point where I had to like run to the bathroom, pee, and then run back and not even think about what I got on all over the seat. Like, I was scared, literally scared of that film. And it's a pretty good film. And it was one of those oddities of a film, because it was a made-for-TV film shot on a $4 million budget, directed by Tobe Hooper at the time, who was hot after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it was pretty it did really well for made-for-TV, maybe because of advertisements, but it came from an era where made-for-TV horror generated a lot of views, because there weren't, you know, they needed something to take over the time slots in the late night, like 9 o'clock usually was a time and a made-for-TV movie would be shown. And Salem's Lot was pretty much like 3-4 hours, so I guess it was shown earlier. But during this time, you already had films like Trilogy of Terror by Dan Curtis, or any of the Dan Curtis made-for-TV horror films, which were absolutely terrifying. Even some like Kolchak the Night Stalker or The Night Strangler. And to me, I think that Salem's Lot is the pinnacle, the apex of made-for-TV horror films. I mean, the budget, the amount of money they spent on the film, they actually spent $150,000 on a fakeade for the house, just a fakeade, and then an additional $75,000 for the interior to make it look even shittier. And, you know, to see production going on a made-for-TV movie was just phenomenal. I mean, you usually see production like that now on HBO TV shows, but everything is digital, and pretty much like Salem's Lot was all practical effects. Everything was practical effects. There's one scene where the late Jeffrey Lewis, one of my favorite actors, by the way, who is the father of Juliette Lewis, is sitting in a chair, and he's already a vampire, and his eyes glow. They're glowing. And he's like, "Look at me." And he's like moving. But the camera of his eyes glowing is done from refracting the light, pretty much similar to what they did in the original Blade Runner with Pris and Rachel, when they show their eyes red to show that they're replicants. It was basically a trick that they did with using a mirror and a light and reflecting the light from the mirror off the eyeballs, and it gives this like I guess these were specially made contacts, but that scene is one of the most scariest scenes in history. Salem's Lot has it, you know, like when you look at Salem's Lot, you can argue with people because people will be, you know, you could say, hey, what was the scariest movie part in you think in Salem's Lot? And people will either say Orlac, the kid floating, the other kid floating. Let's see, Jeffrey Lewis turned into a vampire in the boarding house. The film had numerous creepy scenes, and it was very ambitious, and the ambitions paid off. Reggie Nalder was a scarier Barlow than the book. Barlow actually spoke. He was more like a Dracula type, a modern-day Dracula in the novel. And, you know, the screenwriter wanted to make this change to Stephen King, and Stephen King didn't want to. And then when he saw the test footage of Reggie Nalder and Balder, he's like, just put it in. That's pretty good. I don't know how he feels about that now, because they later remade, I think for TNT, I saw it with Rob Lowe, Salem's Lot, and then Mr. Barlow was Rutger Hauer. Don't get me wrong, Rutger Hauer is a great actor, and he could play it scary. But after watching an actor do it like Nosferatu and just do it just so scary and so brooding and just so nightmarish, there was no comparison. Another thing about Salem's Lot, it has an awesome vinyl that came out a few years ago with some really good artwork on it by one of my favorite artists, but I can't name him off the top of my off the top of my head right now. So in the future, the next video will be the review on Demon Resurrection. I was working on that now, doing the voiceovers, waiting for some batteries to charge, and then I'm going to shoot on my DSLR the next episode of Cinema Macabro. So this is basically a live recording. I won't expect to see anybody watching this, and if they do, they'll probably watch the pre-recorded version, because let's face it, it's very hard to get an audience on YouTube, but you got to work hard on it. So I'm willing to work hard on it. I'm pretty ambitious, and I'm just, let's see, let me see if I see anybody monitoring here. I guess they don't show it to you. I'm using a switcher, which is pretty good. Oh, you can't see if somebody's like watching. Okay, so basically what I was saying is I'm using Switcher software, Switcher Studio, on iPad. I tend to shoot all my videos on DSLR, but I just had to make an appearance. This is the second appearance I'm making on this channel. There's no excuse, and you know, I really have to do this. I have to break out of the fear of like speaking live on camera, because I just love talking about this stuff, and I'm sure some of you. Pretty good. You can't see. You know, it's a pretty good quality for 720p. But another thing that, you know, like again, I wanted to bring up is there's this fighting game that I've been seeing in a lot of horror websites that has like all the characters, pretty much like Mortal Kombat, but it's like with like rendered versions of Ash, Jason, Freddy Krueger. It's not the last Mortal Kombat to come out. It's like a video game that is experimenting with putting all the licenses together, like Chucky. And I saw it years ago on Bloody Disgusting, only to see it again. It was actually it was an article about it, and it's amazing. Could you imagine a Mortal Kombat type game that's only icons of horror? I mean, a fight game. Could you imagine, like, you know, definitely you'll have like Aliens versus Predator, but what if you had like Aliens versus Pumpkinhead, or like Freddy versus Candyman, or, you know, like you see this like what if scenario with this fighting game. I'm down for that. I saw Blade Runner 2049 last week on Thanksgiving weekend. I gotta say, I was blown away. what a sequel. The simple fact that the film has this consistent look, despite the 30-year-old gap between both films, was fucking amazing. The simple fact that they shot with, they pretty much shot with practical effects and miniatures. They actually went overboard with the miniatures, and I love that. I love the fact that they use, they're pretty much using the same camera techniques as the first Blade Runner, and the same people who worked on Blade Runner worked on, I think they worked on Aliens, but I think it's Fantasy 2 effects, if I'm not mistaken, but they worked with Douglas Trumbull and a couple other people. But Fantasy 2 effects were pretty popular in the 80s. They did well, I think they changed. They went by different names first. I think they worked on Escape from New York when they were under New World, and they worked on Galaxy of Terror, and then Aliens. They got their popularity from Aliens. So there's a couple of shots in Blade Runner 2049 that it was like Aliens. But let me get started. The chemistry between Ryan Gosling as Kay and his AI girlfriend was just amazing. I love that relationship. I think it's one of the best romantic angles I ever saw in a sci-fi film. It was just as romantic as Deckard and Rachel. I love the fact that the violence was visceral and gritty, and the fight scenes were just like, they had punch to them. And I love the film. I honestly, like, when it comes to sequels, I will say this is a good sequel. And then, but you'll never hear me say this is a great sequel. It would have to be Aliens to be a great sequel. It would have to be Evil Dead 2. It would have to be Terminator 2 to be a great sequel. Well, Blade Runner's up there, hands down. Some people may not agree with me. I like the long runtime. I could only imagine what the 4-hour cut must be like. I did see the short films. I love the short films. They kind of flesh out certain characters, especially Batista's character in it, and it was great. Let's see. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is upcoming Cinema Macabro videos. I would love to go to be live just like this in conventions. I would love to do the whole conventions, horror conventions like Chiller Theater in Jersey and others. I would love to do that. And, if you guys, the audience, have any suggestions, leave them below in the comments. Like right now, while I'm live, and we could talk about this. Like, we could talk about what you guys would like to see in future videos of Cinema Macabro. That will help out a lot. Again, this is the first time that I'm actually live from there. I gained a bit of weight from Thanksgiving, so you're going to see the process of me trying to get down slower so I could be a little more presentable for Cinema Macabro. And you're going to see, I'm probably going to use other technology other than the iPads. Most likely my DSLR and some cameras, me being out in the street. I also like to talk about ghost stories, books. I love horror and sci-fi novels. The last sci-fi novel that I read was Blindside by Peter Watts, an amazing sci-fi horror book that is absolutely amazing. Great, chilling, adventurous book. Very intelligent written science fiction. That I don't want to give it away too much, but one of the crew members in the story is an ancient vampire. He's like the captain of the ship, and the way they explain it, it's just amazing. Blindsight's actually a good film. And then the book before then I read, I think it was called Blessed the Children. Let's see. Blessed the Children. I'm trying to remember. Like, I got a poor memory, so just I think it was called Bless the Children. I'm not sure, but it was a novel. I'm gonna have to look for it in Amazon. It was this novel I read about this this disease. Oh, just give me a second. It's about a book about. Hold on, just give me a second. King Herod's disease. Bless the children. Trying to remember the name of this book. Suffer the Children by Craig DeLuey. And I'm going to tell you why this book scared the shit out of me. Suffer the Children is about a disease that pretty much kills every child in the planet Earth. The disease is called King Herod's disease, which I used to, which King Herod's disease. Well, I don't want to give it away too much, but the kids come back. They come back to the parents normal talking kids. However, they come back with a thirst that needs to be quenched for blood. And what's scary about this film is how the parents are really the addicts, doing everything they can to keep their kids alive and keep their kids from rotting. This is the most heart-wrenching book I ever read, and if it ever became a movie, believe me, this movie would be a blockbuster. However, it's too intense for parents. I think parents cannot watch this film because it's really fucking gut-wrenching. And this, to me, is pure horror when you focus more on the parents than the actual creepy kids. Because it's not about the kids. It's actually about the transformation of what happens to four parents that they focus on. I first read this book by accident, and Craig DeLuey is such a great writer when it comes to this. He medically explains it. It's just, he probably is a parent. He probably has like 2-3 kids because, to write about that anguish and pain is just, again, if you want to read a book, I think mostly single people like this book because it won't give them nightmares. People without children, read Suffer the Children by Craig DeLuey. Another great book. Let's see. 2 people watching. Oh, good. To those who are watching, I just got to say thank you for watching and thank you for spending the time here. That's pretty cool. Now, I need more subscribers. I need help. I need to reach out more people on YouTube and start more of a fan base. If people could subscribe and like the videos, that will help me out tremendously. I like to make more videos. I want to get better at this. I'm a big fan of a lot of other YouTube channels like Kim Justice, one of my favorite channels, Good Bad Flicks, amazing channel. Let's see, a couple other channels. I can't really all think of them. John Hancock and GameSack, of course, the gamer stuff. But I really, really, really want to make more videos. I want to address my fans like from behind the camera as well and in front of the camera, and get some. If you guys want to add some suggestions to this channel, be my guest. Also, I'll probably do some like live art and stuff like that. And I do everything in this channel pretty much. It's just like a whole one-man thing. I've seen. I look at some YouTube channels and they actually got credits for like a guy. But I gotta say that I had somebody do the music to this channel. His name's Ed Hoey, very good composer. He did the opening intro music. And he is amazing. He also condensed it for me for 10 minutes for smaller videos, and that's pretty good. One other thing that I wanted to mention that I saw during the Thanksgiving holiday was Creep 2. Creep 2 was actually an amazing film. I gotta say, Creep 2, I saw the original Creep. And I was like, wow, like the performances was good. Pretty much like two people in the cast. And the performance by Mark Duplass I was just like, wow, this guy is fucking creepy. And Creep, the original Creep was shot in 2014. It was directed by Patrick Bryce. And he also wrote he also wrote it with Mark Duplass, and Mark Duplass is an amazing actor. I mean, like, I think he's definitely a leading he's definitely a leading man. Definitely, Mark Duplass. If you know when he did Creep, I was pretty much creeped out by him and his awkwardness. It's sort of like he's a serial killer, but at the same time, it's just like he has this really good charisma for someone who is socially awkward, and I love that. I absolutely loved it. And then in Creep 2, he actually had pretty good, pretty good. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, I'm just like living. In Creep 2, he worked with this actress Desiree Akhavan, who is absolutely amazing. Another actress. So Creep 2, they pretty much had really good chemistry together, and I was like, wow, you know, this actress definitely has a future in Hollywood. Mark Duplass was pretty much creepy as this one, but now you're seeing more of a three-dimensional more to him. There's more to him, and his rival, played by Desiree Akhavan, was fucking amazing. And something about Mark Duplass is just like he's creepy, funny, and charismatic at the same time. Like he can make you cringe, laugh, and wonder, like, what is he? He's like so unpredictable in his role. I haven't seen a performance like this since, let's say, The Stepfather with Terry Quinn, Stepfather 1 and 2. And I'm a big fan of Terry Quinn, and that's like pretty much putting the boots on, you know, wearing those shoes, filling in those boots, I think, or filling in those shoes. I don't know. It's late. I just came out of work not too long ago, so just bear with me. And yeah, Creep 2 was an amazing film. I saw that this weekend with. I also saw Stranger Things season 2 with my girlfriend. We saw the whole thing. Amazing ending for a season. I gotta say, what I would like to see in Stranger Things season 3, bring, like, if I was a producer, the first person I would get from the 80s is Michael Biehn. Michael Biehn is fucking intense. One of the most intense actors that I've saw on screen. You can't really do a Michael Biehn impression. Maybe the whole scene in Terminator where he's like, it's not a robot, it's a cyborg. You know, it's just like his intensity is just amazing. Has a good resume as an actor. Put him in Stranger Things 3. If you're going to put Paul Reiser and make references to aliens, put Michael Biehn in Stranger Things season 3. Put Lance Hendrickson there too. Put both of them together. You know, have Lance Hendrickson play Will's father or something, Will's grandfather, or, you know, just there's so many possibilities. It's not even funny. Again, I look forward to a third season of Stranger Things. Yeah, pretty much. All you guys still there? 3 watching now. All right, cool. 3 watching there now. One day it'll be 3. By tomorrow, maybe 3,000. Who the fuck knows, you know? But I'm going to keep continuing doing this because I like doing it. I love doing it. You know, it's just like I used to drive people crazy talking about films all the time. All the time talking about films. And it might turn, you know, like cost me a relationship or here and there. But when you find the right woman who is into what you do, and it's pretty cool. Like my girlfriend now, a beautiful girl, her name's Tessa. We actually co-curated a horror art show and film festival. I'll show you the flyer I did. I actually worked on the flyer, and it's LIC Fear. I actually did the cover because I'm an illustrator, and it's pretty much a follow-up to a Long Island City Horror Film Festival that I did years ago, like a long time ago, you know. And yeah, she's awesome, and because of that, it just made me want to do more videos. You know, just I like talking about this kind of stuff, and you know, it is what it is, you know. I'm just trying to see if I have any photos here to show you guys. Let's see, let me add user's image. Okay, frame, done. Let me show you guys. This is actually me in the show, and this place is actually huge. It was actually like a museum. It's like, it was big. It was a big place. It's called Plaxall Gallery in Long Island City, and me and my girlfriend co-curated the show, and we had an amazing time. It was a horror themed art show and film festival, and if I could do it again, believe me, I would do it again. You know, this is the second time me actually doing something of that magnitude, and I would love to do it. I wish there was more people here asking questions, but yeah, pretty much. Also, I want to direct a film, another short film. I have a short film on YouTube called Robbie. It's on my other account, and it was shot in 2011, and I edited, did the effects. It was me and a two-man film crew, just me and my sound guy, assistant, and we basically shot a film in 4 days, and it was a good short film. I think so. It was well received at the film festival and other film festivals, so I would like to redo that too. And I've been a filmmaker for a while now, and I gotta say that I've worked with other filmmakers before. It was both a pleasant experience and an unpleasant experience. I've worked with a lot of egos, and I gotta say that if there's one thing I've learned is to get tough skin doing films. And mind you, these are people who are not in Hollywood yet, or never will be. And you get this tough skin, but at the same time, you just appreciate the people who work under you, and you just want to make a kick-ass film. Like the film I'm going to review next, Demon Resurrection, which will be the next video, episode 9 of Cinema Macabro. That is going to be followed by a question and answer by the director. I want to do a live question and answer. Also, I would like to do lectures on here. I did a lecture at Plaxall Gallery called, it was called A Piracy and the Discovery of Long Lost Horror Films. And I went through a list of 10 films and how they were out of print on VHS, never released on DVD, and discovered on BitTorrent, and having a huge demand to be transferred to 4K Blu-ray. And that was my lecture. And I would actually like to do it live, because it'll be a lot easier for me. Instead of just doing a PowerPoint presentation in front of people, I can pretty much announce it a month ahead of time and actually prepare for it and have a bigger audience. And that's about it. So guys, that's actually a call that I got. So guys, I'm gonna end this by saying thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spending the time to subscribe. I see 3 people watching now. I am grateful for those 3 people, and hopefully you'll be like 3,000. And just pass the word along. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button now. And if you want to leave comments, leave them in the comment section. And with that, I'm actually going to get ready to go home. Ciao, guys.